David Parker.
Mr Chairman, I want to take the Minister to task with his misrepresentation of the Labour Party position in respect of criminals. This is really populist policy on the part of the National Party. Let's kick the criminals again. Let's make the Labour Party look like they're in favour of criminals and unfair compensation to criminals. The first point is this example that's given with Graham Burton. What a load of rubbish. Under the existing law, ACC could have applied to disentitle Graham Burton from any lump sum compensation or earnings-related compensation. That is absolutely clear, Dr Smith. The existing legislation provides for that. I do claim some expertise in this. I am a lawyer. ACC told us that ever since this provision has been in there, to the extent that they can go back in their records, they have only ever applied to the court in 12 cases. In 9 of those cases, the court agreed and said that they should be disentitled. In 3 of those cases, the court said, no, that's wrong. That's wrong, that's too tough, you've had your criminal penalty. I would almost guarantee that if Graham Burton had any earnings-related compensation or lump sum compensation and the Accident Compensation Corporation had applied to the court and said he should be disentitled, then the court would have made a wise decision and they would have disentitled him. But then, really, Dr Smith even went further than that in the chair, and he complained that he's been given a prosthesis because he's lost his leg. And this is where I disagree with the National Party. What a miserable, inhumane society you stand for if you would have people walking around on crutches, that the National Party would stand for. If you would have a person like Graham Burton, bad person though he is, eventually re-enter society with a stump and no false leg. Do you really want to live in a country that you not only disentitle? Does the Minister really want to live in a country where we not only take away persons' accident compensation, we give them a serious imprisonment, he may never get out of there, but then we stop him getting a false leg? That's what the Minister stands for. That's what he stands for, and other members in the National Party stand for that too. You know, I've recently travelled to some third world countries. One of the most distressing things for me is to see beggars without legs on stumps and inadequate crutches. If we as a society stand for not only taking away people's compensation and giving them a criminal penalty, and then have the Minister saying things like, look, it's terrible he's had a prosthesis, what sort of a country would we be? And that's the difference between the National Party and the Labour Party, because that might be popular, Dr Smith, but it's wrong. It is wrong. The existing law is adequate. It is not the fault of the Minister or the Prime Minister if ACC sometimes don't apply to disentitle when they should in terms of earnings-related compensation or lump sum compensation. I agree with that. I also agree that there might be problems with the data that ACC relies upon, and that they ought to have more access to criminal justice records so that they can turn up these cases and make the appropriate application. But this change goes far further than that, and as Moana Maki says, it applies to anyone who has any sentence of imprisonment in respect of an imprisonable offence that could have a maximum period of imprisonment of 2 years. It doesn't have to be someone that's imprisoned for 2 years. They could be imprisoned for a week. And that's where her example about how this causes injustice is most apparent. Someone could live a blameless life all of their lives. They make a stupid mistake driving home from work. They injure someone coming the other way. They are charged with careless use causing injury or careless use causing death. The maximum penalty for that is more than 2 years imprisonment. They might be a low-income person. They might have other fines that they haven't paid. They can't afford to pay a fine. They get sent to prison for a month. They not only suffer the criminal penalty, they lose all of their accident compensation. Now, that doesn't just affect them. That affects their family. And again, that's not the sort of society I want to live in. I'm happy to leave that to the jurisdiction of the courts to judge what is just. What is being done here is unjust and takes the country in a poor direction.
Mr Chairman.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Chairman, I welcome the opportunity